Everyone, Kathy the Vegan Prepper here, and today we're doing a little bit of a chat, a little bit of a life update, but also I'm going to show you a bit of a video montage of some footage that I've taken over the last couple of weeks that just sort of never made it into a video, but I think it's still worth seeing, and we'll get back and chat about that as soon as that part is done. So just go ahead and enjoy that, and I'll see you again in a few minutes. Vegan prepper, vegan prepper. I had some tomatoes that were kind of looking iffy, and so I went ahead and cut them in half, little grape tomatoes, and I'm going to get those into the dehydrator and refill my stash of sun-dried tomatoes. We've been going through a lot of the dried tomatoes this last week or two. Guys, I literally just came in the door, and first thing I do, because I just dropped Sage off at school, and I have our smoothie cups because we get smoothie for breakfast. She and I share a smoothie. First thing I do is come in here and in the kitchen and rinse the cups But for her, I don't just rinse her cup. I also go ahead and prepare whatever cold drink I'm gonna bring to her in the afternoon when I pick her up, because it's like a tradition we started, because a lot of times it's so hot that I would make sure that she had a cold drink because she has to get into the back seat of the car, and I do everything I can to point air back there and whatever. It's just still too hot. So she always gets a cold drink. But even though now it's cooling down a bit, like actually this morning, it was still in the 70s at like 8 o'clock. It was insanely amazing. But anyway, even though it's cooling down every day, she's still like, Mom, where's my cold drink? And so I bring her a cold drink every day, but it's just so I don't forget, or if I'm rushing out of the house because I got sidetracked doing whatever I do while I'm alone in the house. I go ahead and get the drink ready as soon as I get home. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then we'll talk a little bit more. Today it's gonna be chocolate oat milk, and she does love this chocolate oat milk, but I like to mix it half and half with just regular plain soy milk. To sort of cut the sugar down, but also to give her some of that protein that's in the soy milk. So that's what I do for her. And so this is going to be her drink for today. So now it just goes over into the fridge. And yeah, I need to wipe down my fridge. But yeah, there it is, waiting for her. So that I can just grab it on our way out. So I just got my bed made. They're super old wrinkly comforter. This is actually, we've had this since we got married. So this is like almost 20 years old. Adam and I were just talking about replacing our bedspread. But anyway, this is my super minimalist. Like, I made my bed. I just basically pull the comforter over the bed, and that's how I make my bed. I do not like all the excess pillows. That stresses me out. Why on earth would I want to pull these pillows off and put them on the floor and then put them back on again? Is there any other woman alive who feels the same way? I feel like I'm the only woman I know who does not want anything on the bed. So anyway, just let me know if you're like that as well. I have a nice little view of my garden. I think I'm going to show you guys video like at the beginning of this one, some older garden video, and obviously it's still a mess out there, but I get to see it, and you know, it is a mess, but I think it's kind of a pretty mess. So anyway, I really do love watching the drama. There's constantly birds, as you see, beautiful little birds. What I've been loving is Adam and I both have had such joy watching these loofah flowers here. So like right here is a giant squash flower, but over here are the loofah flowers, and I'll get an up close shot of one of them so you can see what I'm talking about. But the stamen is a bit tall, and we get giant black bumblebees and hummingbirds coming for these flowers, and they kind of fight over them. It's really funny. Like, we'll see black bumblebees or like hummingbirds going through, although they tend to go here. I'm going to try to like cut off the view above my fence. Up here where there are flowers up the vines, the hummingbirds will be coming. But as soon as black bees show up, the hummingbirds will often go off and just like find a little branch of the grapevines to sit on, and they just like sit and wait. And when the black bees go away, the hummingbird will come back in and go to the flowers. It's like the cutest little thing. We're just having a lot of fun watching all of the nature, enjoying our yard out here. And so there are some squash I need to get. Like there's one right there. I'm pretty sure they're ready. I think I have 3 or 4 squash to grab, so I'm gonna go ahead and go do that too before I finally actually sit down and have a chat with you guys. Here, so they're tall. The stamens of the flowers are tall. So the little bees, oh shoot, we missed it. Oh no, there's one over here that has to fight the ants on that one. The little bees go under, but the big bees just come and like land on top with all 6 of their legs. Just go around that stamen, and it's the most adorable thing. It's like you almost imagine that they're like, oh my gosh, finally a flower big enough for me. But here, I'll get this little up close shot. So here's the loofah flower, and then that's the stamen. So anyway, I'm gonna go get my squash now. Okay, so that earlier footage was from about a week ago, and you can see how much this one has already grown. The one that was off the tomato cage. So it's gonna be a good size loofah. When they're the right color, they're a lot easier to see. So they kind of hide almost until they're ready, I find. And also another sign. So it's like they turn tan, and then you shouldn't be able to put your fingernail through the skin. Also, oh yeah, there you go. They just pop right off. So I brought my scissors, but I shouldn't need them. So here's the other one I got already. I'll go ahead and keep grabbing them, and watch out for ants. I've already been mauled by ants twice. Okay, that is pretty decent. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring those inside. This one makes me laugh. Look how freaking cute. I don't know if that's gonna turn into anything, but we're sure gonna try. All right, the Chihuahua's out. I gotta go back in and get a basket. I don't know why I guess I thought I only had like 3 or 4 out there, but I had a lot more than that. So I'm gonna go get my basket. All right, there we are, back inside. You got your drink. Yeah? Is it good? So we're home. We've been home for a little while. I picked up Elliot, and tonight we actually have a concert. So he's in a couple of different musical things at his school, and so tonight he's got a concert. Very excited. He has a solo, so we get to hear that, and so we're really looking forward to that. But that's kind of what's going to happen later. So it is actually kind of a busy day that I decided to try to do this in. But the thing is that they're all busy, but it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like a happy busy. It's a lovely busy. It's just a family's sort of living life. And so that's kind of what's going on with us right now. Thank God, no like major crises to overcome or deal with right now. It's just sort of the normal everyday kind of busy, which is still a lot, but it's still good. So basically, what's going on with me, or no, let me talk, because I'm trying to remember what's in the footage. So I know that I showed you guys the cookies. So let me talk to you about the cookies, those frozen cookie balls. I have those. My motivation is twofold on freezing the cookie dough balls. Number one, the primary one being that Sage's school frequently has bake sales as like fundraisers for the school. And I just think that's a really cute kind of homey way to do it. People bring things in. And so I actually offered to do some vegan baked goods. And specified, you know, that means that they're dairy and egg free for anybody who might have allergies. And so the people who run the bake sales were actually pretty interested in me bringing some stuff in. And so I decided, because I don't know how this works, and I know how people can be. I know how I can be. I mean, come on, I'm not trying to be like, I'm such a paragon. I never call anyone last minute for anything, you know? I totally do. But I mean, just in general, I know that happens. And so just in case, you know, I get a phone call like, hey, could you have some cookies at the bake sale tomorrow or whatever? I'd be able to say, absolutely, I can. So I'd be able to pull from a stash of frozen cookie dough and quickly make up a batch of cookies that I could theoretically bring to the school almost at the drop of a hat as soon as it's needed. The other reason is that it's nice to be able to not have an entire batch of amazing cookies that are totally ready to eat on hand. And it's very tempting, so we can just bake a few at a time. And that's what I was doing in the footage there towards the end. The cookie dough balls had frozen, I think, at that point for 2 days. And so I was testing the baking. And so I made like 6 cookies, which was just basically for my 17-year-old and my 5-year-old. They cleaned that up really quickly. I did not have any, but they said that they turned out great, and they tasted basically tasted like they were made from fresh. If I hadn't told my son that they started off frozen, he wouldn't have known. So that is an awesome thing. And so the other reason I don't want to have those on hand right now is because I'm in the middle of doing a stint on being raw vegan for a while. This is something that I do occasionally. Usually I'll do like a week or so. I don't think I've ever really gone much longer than that. But right now I'm on day 18 because I am doing 40 days for my 40th birthday. So classic me style. I did not start so that I would be finishing like at my birthday, which was kind of the original plan. But I'm actually really happy that I didn't do that. So now my birthday is going to be falling in the middle almost. It's like roughly in the middle. It's next week. Next week is my 40th birthday. So my birthday is going to be falling kind of in the middle of this 40 days. And I honestly feel like I like that a little better. I like that it's something that's bridging into my 40s that I'm starting. Like there's that saying, you know, start as you mean to continue. And I feel like it's important. And I'm really happy that I'm sort of kind of drawing this line, that I'm starting off with really healthy, huge amounts of produce, eating habits, trying to be as healthy as possible, make my body clean and healthy and young as long as I can. No aches, no pains. I've been very fortunate in that. I hear a lot of people say like, just wait till you turn 40. I don't know why people have, why do people have such enjoyment in like prophesying doom over other people? You know what I mean? Like, and I know that that might sound dramatic, but that's what it is. It's like when Adam and I first got married and we were still like super cutesy and affectionate and holding hands and stuff. People would be like, oh, wait till you've been married 5 years. Literally. And then after we had already been married about 5 years, we'd hear, wait till you've been married 10 years. And now we've been married almost 20 years. And thankfully, we don't hear any of that anymore. Actually, what we hear is, oh, how long have you guys been married? Because they think that we've had several people like at church who don't really know us or whatever, who think that we're each on our second marriage and like our kids are like split. It's like, no, we've been married almost 20 years and we still look like this. I don't know why people like to do that. Do you have theories? You can let me know in the comments down below if you have theories on why people like to do that. I like to speak good at people and be like, yeah, this is, you know, there's good potentially coming. You know, also prepare for the worst, but you live your life hopefully still kind of optimistically and hoping that actually what's going to happen is the best thing is going to happen. So anyway, that's what I try to do anyway. So yeah, it's kind of what's going on with me right now. It's like that's the main thing in my life right now, honestly, is being raw, cooking for my family. And so that's taking up a lot of my time right now too, because it's weird. Like I don't know what it is, but I'm finding myself doing more and more kind of elaborate meals for them. It's funny. I thought that the hardest thing about being raw was going to be cooking for them and wishing that I could eat what they were eating. I was like thinking that was going to be so difficult. Honestly, it's become almost my favorite part is cooking for my family and then not eating what I'm making for them. It's like, I don't know, like I hate to say, or I don't hate to say it. I can like feel the eye rolls. This is the way that I am, okay? This is like who I am in my soul. I always think and feel like this, but honestly, it's like entering into this place where it feels almost spiritual. It's like the ultimate form of love, to just love my family and give them as much as I can. Even though I personally am not going to be eating any of that. I'm giving them really good meals. Tonight's an exception because of the concert. So tonight we're just doing a pizza kit. And so it's going to be super simple and like packaged stuff, not, you know, these glorious like multi-course homemade dinners that I've been making that have been kind of insane. And my husband keeps being like, what? Like I made these flatbreads the other day. I'll link that recipe down below. It is definitely, I'll link the video I found. It's definitely not, it's not an oil, like if you are no oil, I don't believe there would be any possible way to make these without any oil. So just don't even look. But if you're okay with some oil, you can go ahead and check the recipe. The recipe does use melted butter, but what I did was I just melted some coconut oil. And it worked perfectly. It was like a mixture of coconut oil and olive oil is what I ended up spreading. And you'll see these kind of glorious flatbreads. And Adam was like beside himself. He's like, this is the best flatbread I've ever had in my whole life. He's like, it's better than naan. That's the thing. As a vegan, it's kind of hard to find naan because most naan has yogurt in it. And for the most part, any other naan that we've ever tried that's vegan is never as good as authentic naan, because there's authentic naan has, if I'm understanding correctly, obviously I'm not Indian, so I don't always know exactly, but if I'm remembering correctly, there's almost a fermentation step where you have yogurt in the dough and you let it sit for like 12 hours before you roll it out and you create your naan. And then the naan itself is made in the tandoori oven, right? So it's super high temperatures and that creates a different kind of bread experience. And so it's a very difficult thing to duplicate at home. And so, yeah, to know that this flatbread is even better than naan is kind of crazy. So I'm very happy about that. I'm eager to try it. I'm not gonna lie. That's like number one on my list, is to make another batch of that flatbread and try it for myself when I'm not raw anymore. Well, a few days after. I'm not gonna immediately launch into eating a whole bunch of like cooked stuff like that, like flour, and I'm gonna be easing into it. I'm not 100% sure exactly what my plan is, but I think for at least a few days, I'll still be eating essentially a veggie, fruit, nut diet. I might add in a little tofu right away, but I'm going to just be cooking some things instead and seeing how I feel about that. Like some of that butternut squash is definitely going to get saved to make me a beautiful smooth butternut squash soup. I'm really looking forward to that. I love smooth blended butternut squash soup. And so I'm going to eat some of that probably on like day one that I'm allowed to have cooked food again. I'll make myself some of that. But yeah, I'm going to definitely ease into it. We'll talk a little bit more about that. I don't want to go on about that for too long, but yeah, it's been a long time, so I feel like I just want to chat. Also, I'm not telling anyone. So it's like, you guys are the only people I'm telling. It's like all, 10 of you who are still watching, I'm telling you. I don't know. It feels weird telling people that I'm close to. There's been two friends know what I'm doing, because these are both friends who have already asked me about taking me out for my birthday. And I was like, oh, let me tell you what's going on. So I think we're going to go out later, but I had to spill the beans a little bit and tell them so that they understood that I wasn't like rejecting the offer because I don't want to go out with them. It was because that's what's going on. And actually one of them was like, oh my gosh, I should join you. It's like, okay, if you want to, but I haven't actually heard anything back yet. So anyway, yeah, I'm not telling anybody or talking to anybody about it. It's kind of my own personal thing I'm doing for like my own personal reasons. I generally am not feeling, massive amounts of energy or anything like that. I'm just basically like my normal self, which I think is probably good. The first few days, I definitely was a lot more tired. I definitely had some some stuff going, like down there was like there was some blockage. There's a lot of fiber to suddenly introduce into my system. But after probably about 5 or 6 days, that started, going well again. Sorry, TMI. But, I think that's something people don't really talk about a lot of times, is that when you like drastically increase your fiber intake, like if you're eating a standard American diet and then you go vegan, you've drastically increased your fiber intake, you can actually get constipated, because fiber is famous for helping you go, but actually it can make you constipated at first if your body's not used to dealing with that. And so it's funny, like I'm vegan, so I do eat some produce and I eat a lot of fiber in my diet, but then going raw was like a whole other level of fiber, and I had a little bit issue, but it cleared up pretty quickly. I feel like once that stopped, I started feeling a lot better. And so generally speaking, I'm feeling great. I'm probably not eating enough, honestly, but I'm eating such nutrient dense food, and I'm working on it. Like, so I try to have, I have a few bananas in a smoothie. My snacks, I'm not just eating like one tangerine, I eat 4 tangerines at a time. I eat a few bananas at a time. My lunches, or my dinners, I have this raw walnut taco meat that's absolutely delicious. Adam loves it too, even though he's not raw, it's delicious. I'll link that recipe down below too. I've been using it. It's from Minimalist Baker. Actually, it's reminding me, that's what all those tomatoes were for. And that entire sheet of tomatoes made just barely less than 1 cup of dehydrated tomatoes. Isn't that insane? So when I say that dehydration is like the ideal food preservation technique for small spaces, I mean, it is the ideal food preservation technique for small spaces, because you can take a massive amount of food and dehydrate it down to such a ridiculously small space. And so you can actually have a lot in a very small space. I already said that. I don't know why I always feel like I need to reiterate, but so yeah, I need to do another big batch of tomatoes because I'm basically out of my tomatoes again, because I made another batch of raw walnut taco meat today. And so yeah, that is one thing that's like I've gone through all my tomatoes and I keep needing to make more. And so the ones that I had originally, I technically had dehydrated at 125, which is not considered raw. The ones I'm making now, I am dehydrating at 105. So those are considered raw. But I wasn't going to be so nitpicky that I was going to hinder all of my progress because I was being super nitpicky about like a dehydrated food, if that makes sense. So I've made a couple of exceptions to the perfectly raw thing. But like, for instance, I'm still allowing myself some hot tea. But these are things that facilitate the rest of the work, if that makes sense. I don't consider it cheating. I think of it as something that, like, if I didn't use the tomatoes that I had and I had to stop and make all new tomatoes, that would have been like, it would have been too much at first because I was already doing so much other adjustment, if that makes sense. And so being willing to utilize the tomatoes I already had on hand actually facilitated my progress, if that makes sense. Hope that makes sense. So yeah, those are the certain exceptions that I'm making are to facilitate my progress, not because I'm trying to get away with cheating. So anyway, yeah, I think I'm good. Like, I'm gonna go, I'm like looking at what time it is. At 4:30, I need to start preheating the oven. So I've already got this in my head to start making these little pizza kits to get pizzas done. But yeah, I can't wait to get back on and chat with you guys some more. Hopefully you enjoyed some of that footage, some of that older footage, and then the footage from earlier today. And let me know, can you let me know in the comments, what would you like to see more of? If there's anything specifically that you like, or do you just like enjoy these videos where I chat? I feel like I used to make a lot more videos where I just sort of chatted, but honestly, as much as I love the fact that we have grown a bit, my growth is very slow, but it's there. We've grown a bit. But honestly, there's part of me that gets slightly paralyzed by the growth. And I don't know what to do. And I start feeling super pressured to do like only, really real content that's, like a specific cooking video, or like not so much of the chat stuff. But I was like, let's just chat. Cause that's what I always used to, that's how I built the first few thousand subscribers that I got, was just with chat videos. So I know that that's not like, it's a completely uninteresting. I don't know. So anyway, let me know though if there are specific things that you'd like to see some more of. But yeah, I will definitely be back soon. And yeah, I think I'm gonna cut that off. I'm gonna cut it off here. I'm very glad to have sat with you and chatted with you a little bit. I know it's just me. I'm just sitting here in my room alone, looking at my tripod with my light, but I do honestly, like, I feel like I'm sitting and talking with somebody when I am doing this, because I know that this is going to go out and somebody's going to be listening and watching, theoretically, if they haven't already clicked away, which I don't blame you. People who no longer are watching, I don't blame any of them, but yes, I do very much appreciate those of you who are still watching. So, okay, seriously, I'm going to go and I will be back. I'll talk to you guys later. As always, I hope the rest of your day is good and your life stays wonderful. See you guys later. Bye. Talk about pizza kits and then not like show you what I'm talking about. Let me just show you really fast. I found these at Costco. Molinaro's pizza kits. I read everything that I read it like 2 or 3 times. There is nothing in here that I can tell is not vegan. So as far as I can tell, these are an accidentally vegan thing. They were originally $10 each for 4 pizza crusts and 4 sauce packets, and then it's all organic. So I thought that was a relatively good price, but then they went on clearance. They were only $5 for each one, and I was like, I got an embarrassing number. But hear me out. There's people who get really mad at preppers for buying. The thing is, there was a huge pile of them still, so I got like 4 or 5, right? That's reasonable. There's still a huge pile. 2 weeks later, we come back to Costco. They're still there. Like, nobody's buying them at 5. So I got several more, and it was like every time I went to Costco, I got a few more. So I have quite a few. So this is my little apocalypse pizza stash, which they're not going to last forever. They're going to last until like This one is until November. Some of them are a little later than that, but they're shelf stable and I don't have to refrigerate them or anything. And so, yeah, I got some. So anyway, this is what my family is getting tonight. Again, it's not going to be a glorious homemade feast tonight, but it's going to be easy. And my son's going to probably eat almost a whole one of these pizzas before he goes off tonight to his concert. And there will be plenty left over for Adam when he gets home and for lunches tomorrow. So it's like a win-win, win-win-win. Completely amazing solution. So anyway, hopefully you can find something like this. Even though they were going out in my Costco, doesn't necessarily mean that they're going out in your Costco. So if you find them, get them. Okay, bye. I'm seriously leaving. Bye.